in media conference with Lal Goyal, which is brought to you by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV, News Gaon Se, Samvad Sarokar News, Organ Donation India Foundation and Gyan. Our endeavor is to enlighten you all about the COVID-19 impact, the current topics, as well as on the for the entertainment also. But today's topic is a very, very important topic. And the topic is Vishwakarma, past, present, and future. But before I will take up this topic, I am very happy to inform, as you all know, that we all are celebrating the 70th birthday of our Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi. Mr. Narendra Damodar Das Modi, born on 17th September 1950. He is the 14th and current Prime Minister of India since 2014. He was the Chief Minister of Gujarat from 2001 to 2014 and is the Member of Parliament from Varanasi. He is the first Prime Minister outside of the Indian National Congress to win 2 consecutive terms with a full majority and the second to complete more than 5 years in office after Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Today, we extend our heartiest birthday greetings to him. And I, being the chairman of Organ Donation India Foundation, is very happy to inform that our Honorable Prime Minister has given a very, very positive message on organ donation, which we'll be releasing very soon, although we have already circulated on our Facebook, but definitely all our media partners will be releasing it. And this shows how much concern our Honorable Prime Minister is having even for the organ donation. So thank you very much, Honorable Prime Minister, and our warmest greetings to you on your 70th birthday. Now, for today's topic, that is Vishwakarma, past, present, and future. Vishwakarma Jayanti is a day of celebration for Vishwakarma, a Hindu god, the divine architect. He is considered as Swambhu and creator of the world. He constructed the holy city of Dwarka, where Krishna ruled the Maya Sabha of the Pandavas and was the creator of many fabulous weapons for the gods. He is also called the divine carpenter, is mentioned in the Rig Veda, and is credited with Satabhya Veda, the science of mechanics and architecture. The festival is observed primarily in factories and industrial areas, often on the shop floor. As a mark of reverence, the day of worship is marked not only by the engineers and architectural community, but by artisans, craftsmen, industrial workers, factory workers, and others. They pray for a better future, safe working conditions, and above all, success in their respective fields. Workers also pray for the smooth functioning of various machines. The term Vishwakarma was originally used as an epithet of an supreme god and as an attribute of Indra and the sun. The name Vishwakarman occurs 5 times in the 10th book of the Rig Veda. The 2 hymns of the Rig Veda identify Vishwakarma as all-seeing and having eyes, faces, arms, and feet on every side, and also has wings. Brahma, the later god of creation, who is 4-faced and 4-armed, resembles him in these aspects. He is represented as being the source of all prosperity, as swift as thought, and titled as seer, priest, lord of speech. The later parts of the Rig Veda reveals efforts to find a satisfactory answer to the mysteries regarding the origin of the universe. The creations of hands present in these parts of the Rig Veda mentions individual creator gods as opposed to the collection of gods and their chiefs, Indra, Varun, Agni, etc., creating the world. In the Rig Veda, Vishwakarma is visualized as the ultimate reality, from whose navel all visible things, Hiran, Garbha, emanate. The same imagery is seen in Yajurveda, Parusha Sukta, in which the divine smith Swatar emerges from Vishwakarma. Hindu scriptures describe many of Vishwakarma's architectural accomplishments. Through the 4 yugs of Hindu mythology, he had built several towns and temples for the gods. Among them were in chronological order Swarga, heaven, in the Satyug, Lanka in the Treta Yuga, and Dwarka, Krishna's capital, in the Dwapar Yuga. The following are also built by Vishwakarmas: Pushpak Viman, Trishul of Lord Shiva, Sudarshan Chakra of Lord Vishnu, Vraj Ayurdham of Lord Indra, and Jagannath Puri temple. And to discuss about the Vishwakarma's past, present, and future, he is Mr. P.D.T. Achari. Mr. Achari is the former Secretary General of the 14th Lok Sabha and 15th Lok Sabha and Lok Sabha Secretariat Parliament of India. As Secretary General, he was also the ex officio administrative head of the Secretariat of the Lok Sabha. He was Secretary General of Lok Sabha from 2005 to 2010. He served the Lok Sabha for a total period of 40 years, including 5 years as Secretary General. The post of Secretary General is equivalent to the Cabinet Secretary in Government of India. The Secretary General is selected by a committee of the Speaker, Prime Minister, and the Leader of Opposition. He has written 4 books, namely The Law of Elections, Office of Profit, Speakers Speak, and Resurgent India. Besides, he edited the book Practice and Procedure of Parliament, authored by Kaul and Shakdhar. He visited a large number of countries and participated in international parliamentary conferences. He also organized International Parliamentary Conference in Delhi. He was the chairman of the Legislature Secretaries Conference. He was the returning officer for the election of the President of India in 2008 of Srimati Pratibha Patil. He has enrolled as an advocate a few years ago. Presently, he is advising the Delhi Legislative Assembly and the Speaker on legal and legislative matters. He has written a large number of articles on constitutional, legal, as well as parliamentary issues. Welcome, Mr. Achari, on our show. Mr. Achari, you have already heard what Dr. Bose has mentioned, and he has said that past was very, very glorified, very bright of the Vishwakarmas. Recent past was also good because at that time, Vishwakarmas were the deciding of authority to decide how the houses to be constructed, how the cities to be made. But today, in the present, after the urbanization, the future or the today's present thing is very bleak for the Vishwakarmas. And he is hopeful that our Honorable Prime Minister will definitely come out with some good scheme for the Vishwakarmas so that they will get their glorified past again. We would like to know the Vishwakarma's past, present, and future. Mr. P.D.T. Achari, please.
Thank you, Mr. Goyal, for inviting me to participate in this discussion. Today is the Prime Minister's birthday, and I would join others in praying for a long life, a productive life for the Honorable Prime Minister. Today is Vishwakarma Day, and I must thank you for organizing this discussion on this very auspicious day. A lot has been said by the previous speaker, Mr. Anand Bose, and you, in your introductory remark, you spoke about the position of Vishwakarma in the Hindu mythology. And Mr. Bose also spoke about the position of Vishwakarma in the mythology. These are all well-known facts, and these are all part of the Hindu mythology. You have just chosen a subject which is very interesting: Vishwakarma's past, present, and future. These are all interconnected. So in order to understand the Vishwakarma's present, we must know what their past was. And so far as the future is concerned, certainly we can visualize what will be the future. But certainly we should understand the past of the Vishwakarmas. What exactly were they doing? Who were they? And what has been their contribution to the society? These are all matters which are very important in this context. Vishwakarmas have a very glorious or proud past. There is no doubt about it. Because they are the people who were originators and developers of technology. Of course, every civilization grows and develops with technology. The technology advances and the human civilization advances. So these are intimately connected with each other. And that is where the role of the Vishwakarmas comes in. In fact, I must say that there is very less understanding of the Vishwakarmas as a social group or community, and also Vishwakarma, the mythological character. The society, Indian society of today, considers Vishwakarma as some kind of a labor leader or something. Because celebration of Vishwakarma Jayanti is basically done by the workers. And they take a day off from their work and celebrate it. And nobody else bothers about it. So everybody has relegated Vishwakarma to the level of a labor leader. Now, therefore, it is very necessary to understand the importance of this particular social group in order to understand and assess their contribution to the growth and development of Indian civilization. As Mr. Ananda Bose has already said, their contribution to the Indian civilization was great. Now, where do we start from? Let us go to the Indus Valley. And we know the magnificent structures which were built in the Harappan and Indus Valley civilization in the Harappan cities, because it was an urban civilization, so naturally. The urban settlements which were created was all created by the Vishwakarmas. It is the skill of these people coupled with their creativity. It is actually that distinguishes their occupation or their work from other types of work. The skill and creativity. It's not a mere skill that many people possess the skill. In whatever you do, you display a certain amount of skill. But here, there is a very, very happy combination of skill and creativity. If you look at a statue which they make or an idol in a temple, so all these idols were made by them only. If you look at that, the beauty, the angelic beauty of those idols which have been fashioned by these people, made by these people with their chisels, with their mallets, all that. This is breathtaking. That is creativity. Creativity in full display. So it is the creativity and the skill which make them stand apart from the rest of the people. And with this, they contributed to the growth of civilization. So they were handling the technology. They were originators of the technology. In fact, I must say that technology in ancient India developed in the workshops and the smithies, architecture and metallurgy. had advanced in this country. Now you don't have to go anywhere else and make a conjecture about the development of architecture and metallurgy in India. You don't have to depend on anybody else. You have to go to the Rig Veda now. Now everybody very conveniently, everybody refers to the Rig Veda for many things, for an authentic source. So Rig Veda, let us go to the Rig Veda itself. In the second chapter of Rig Veda, you will find a very interesting mention about the craft of the Vishwakarmas. Of course, the word Vishwakarma is not used there. The word used is Takshan, and that becomes Takshan in Malayalam. Now he makes a chariot for the movement of the people, and that chariot moves with the help of water and fire. Now, what exactly is the significance of this mention or this particular verse in the Rig Veda? A chariot moves on water and fire. So we can very well conclude that it was actually steam. The chariot was moving on steam, propelled by steam. So that technology was available to them. That technology was available to the Vishwakarmas. They developed it. And it says that it was a very comfortable kind of chariot, which was moving, propelled by the steam. So steam engine technology was available to them at that time. Later on, of course, something happened. Maybe the horse-driven chariot, horses came into the scene, and horses started drawing the chariot with much greater speed and so on. Maybe. These are all conjectures. But this very particular mention of the chariot moving, propelled by fire and water, that means steam, nothing else. You can't put a little fire and little water there and make the chariot run. So this is technology. This kind of technology was developed by them. That happened about 3,500 years ago. So Vishwakarmas existed long before that. As I mentioned about the Indus Valley civilization, Harappan civilization. They are the people who created that. So they existed at that time. This is a community which exists in every part of India. No, in fact, they exist in every part of the world. But we are talking about the Indians, the Vishwakarmas in India. Then during the Vedic period, these people had a very high social status. And they were given a part of the oblation, that is the arghya. They were entitled to that, very clearly written in the Rig Veda. They were entitled to a part of the oblation, which was a very sacred thing, as per the people at that time. So that is the kind of status which was accorded to them. And when we come to the Middle Ages, there were guilds. They were very powerful economically and socially. Very powerful organizations they had. And at that time, they were given the status of Vaishyas. So many things happened in the historic times because they had a lot of economic power. They were running the guilds. They and the merchants who were engaged in trade activities. They were bracketed together. This kind of a situation prevailed in India till the industrialization. The impact of industrialization reached India, and the handicraft economy was totally destroyed, devastated. And there the downfall started. Vishwakarmas is a case of downward social mobility. Normally there is upward social mobility. But here is a case where there is downward social mobility. And their suffering started from then, and it continues. Now coming to the present day, What exactly is the position of the Vishwakarmas? I will just deal with one or two things and then I will finish this. One is that in our democracy, you know, the 70 years of democratic experiments has strengthened certain socially and economically dominant social groups in our country. This is the reality in every state in our country. And the numerically smaller social groups have been marginalized, progressively marginalized. Now, this is the flip side of democratic development in our country during the past 70 years. And the Vishwakarmas are the worst sufferers in that. They don't have resources. They don't have opportunities. They don't have political space. And they have no space in the administration of the country. Of course, I would admit here that the Vishwakarmas also have to blame themselves for this state of affairs. They don't participate in social activities. They have no role in the social life of the community. They isolate themselves. But what exactly is the attitude of the society and also the state? That is what I want to highlight. Society bypasses them. Mr. Anand Bose has said the society respected them. Maybe there was a time when the society depended on them. So that was the reason why society respected them. But now that is not the case. The state has ignored them. The society has ignored them. Society would rather ridicule them because of their certain habits, bad habits of drinking and things like that. The state intervention has never been effective. Politics, certainly, because everything depends upon the number. So numerically stronger and larger social groups capture everything. They occupy the entire space, and these people are left out. Not only the Vishwakarma, there are other marginal groups, numerically smaller groups, who have been left out. But since we are talking about the Vishwakarma, so I am highlighting this, the problems of this particular community. So this is the position. There are no MPs, there are no MLAs. Because unless you have representation in the legislatures, unless you are a part of the decision-making structures in the country, you will be nowhere. You will not be heard. That is the thing. That is the reality of Indian democracy. Now, how you are going to address that reality? That is it. First of all, you must have awareness of the problems which these people are facing and why these people are facing this problem. Then you have to think whether any special scheme or plan is required to lift them up. There is no doubt that they have to be lifted up. If you want to make them a participant in the decision making and administration of the country, certainly they have to be lifted up and they have to be given a level playing field. Now, are you prepared to give them a level playing field? What exactly is your plan? These are something, these are things which are very important. What exactly are your plans for this particular community? Are you going to give or formulate a particular plan or specific plan, keeping in view the disabilities this community suffers from for their upliftment? Now, these are some of the thoughts which we should entertain today. We should address. These are some of the problems which we should address when we are discussing the Vishwakarma's past, present, and future. I think I should end here and then leave it to others. And later, if you, as you said in the beginning, you will ask questions, and certainly I will be really happy to answer those questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Achari, for giving your thoughts. He started by wishing the Honorable Prime Minister on his birthday, and he says the past was very, very glorified because the Vishwakarmas were not only skilled, but they were the creators and they were having that technology. And he says that all the things which were created earlier was created by Vishwakarmas. And he is mentioned about the Rig Veda. He says, if you read the Rig Veda properly, it is very clearly mentioned that whatsoever has been created at that time was by the Vishwakarmas. And Vishwakarmas were in a very scared position at that time, and it was because they were having they were the creators, and not only the creators, they were using the latest technologies which we are using now. And he has mentioned about the chariot which was made at that time used to work on fire and water, which is very clearly on steam, which we are now we have seen on our steam engines today, but which was more than 3,005-year-old technology which was used by the Vishwakarmas. So according to Mr. Achari, Vishwakarmas were very, very advanced. They were the creator. They were having the all knowledge of technology, as well as they were totally skilled. But he says the present is not that glorified because of some of their bad habits. Secondly, they have been marginalized, and the drawback of democracy. He says, and the democracy is the game of the numbers. They have no number, no MPs, no MLAs, and that's why their voice is not heard and they have been marginalized. So according to Mr. Achari, until unless they will be giving the position, they will be heard properly. They have, and he also said that the blame, partly of the blame goes to Vishwakarmas themselves also, that they have been marginalized. But he said the government has to consider them as an asset, and because of their what they can do, no other person can do, because their advancement in technology as well as the skilled person. Thank you, Mr. Achari, for your giving your such a beautiful thoughts about Vishwakarmas. What are the causes of the decline of the Vishwakarma community in India, and what steps do you suggest to bring them in the mainstream for the path of economic progress?
In fact, I very carefully listened to what Mr. Anand Bose has said. In fact, I fully agree with all his suggestions, particularly two suggestions. One is that the board, national board, under the chairmanship of the Honorable Prime Minister. That's a very good suggestion. In fact, I was going to suggest the constitution of a commission or a board or something to look into the problems of the Vishwakarma community, which are many and very serious. Now that he has come up with the suggestion that the Prime Minister should chair that board, certainly with the proper terms of reference and all that, I'm sure that that will take care of some of the serious problems. And then also his suggestion about the setting up of a research center, which will do serious research into the past, into the contribution these people made over millennia, and also what should be done for the future. Now, about the political empowerment, I had hinted to that in my speech. Political empowerment is very, very essential. And for that, in fact, on earlier occasion, when there was a seminar in which Mr. Anand Bose himself was there, I had suggested that there should be some kind of a place for these people through nomination into the legislative councils. In fact, it can be set up in all the states where these Vishwakarmas and also the marginalized people who can't get into the legislative elected bodies. So they should be able to get into these areas, and the government should make conscious effort to get them into these legislative bodies so that they become a part of the legislative process. And then one more thing, and I'm done. That is about the boys and girls, the bright boys and girls who make it in the exams to join civil service. You know, they have to be given very quality coaching, and they have to join the coaching centers. Now, some method can be found to finance them so that they come and join these coaching institutes, standard institutes, where they get training and proper coaching, so that they will be ready to sit the exams. Now, that should be given some attention, because I think more and more people from this community can join the administrative stream. In fact, administrative services, civil services are a very prestigious kind of services. In fact, they are running the administration of the country. So these people must have a place in the administrative setup, and they must be able to get into the administrative services. And for that, we must facilitate that. So some scheme has to be devised, some method has to be found, so that they can be financed, because there are many who are meritorious, but they are not able to join any coaching classes and all that. because of lack of resources. So that is the basic question. That if that question is tackled, then I think we'll be able to see that many will join the administrative services.
Thank you, Mr. Acharya. Today you have seen the Vishwakarma's past, present, and future, and all that speakers have given their thoughts. I'm sure you all have been enlightened and very much you have been getting the knowledge what Vishwakarmas are. And today's program, which was live telecasted by V4 News, V4 Stream, Global TV, Malnadu TV, News Gaon Se, Samvad Saroka News, as well as it was shown live on Facebook and YouTube. And our endeavor is to bring to you the current topics every day. And tomorrow's our current topic is media conference with Lal Goyal, COVID-19 impact on crime. And our esteemed panelists are Dr. Rajiv Anand, Senior Psychiatrist and Marriage Counselor, Mumbai. We have Mr. Ajit Kulshrestha, former Additional Director General, CRPF. We have Advocate Puneet Chaturvedi, Advocates and Consultant, High Court, Mumbai. And we have Ms. Aishwarya Sagar, IPS, ASP, Murshidabad, West Bengal. Please tune in tomorrow at 10:30 for media conference with Lal Goyal. Thank you very much, all my panelists, Dr. Anand Bose, Mr. PBT Acharya, Dr. Sankran, and V. Rajendran for joining us. Thank you all.